Hello, friends. I am back for my second website review, and I will be reviewing a site from one of my other community members. She's an author and a speaker. Her name is Penny, and I'm going to share with you her website, walk through it, and tell you the things that she's doing well, tell you some things that she can improve upon, and hopefully this will help you when you are doing your website, or if you're going to spruce it up or anything like that. Hopefully you can take what I'm giving to her as an advice and apply it to your own website. So if you've never met me before, my name is Amanda. I am a web designer, a coach for creative business owners, and I basically help people to get their creative genius out into the world so that way they can make a living from what they love to do. So I am going to dive in. I'm going to share my screen with you. Let me know if you can hear me in the comments, so that way I'm sure that I am doing okay here. So let's see. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Can you all see everything okay? Let me know in the comment section. Okay, so here I am on Penny's website. If you'd like to see her website, you can go to pennyjkendall.com. And what I'm going to say first off is that she's done a really, really lovely job with her branding overall. So there are a lot of things that I think are going really well for her. I think, first of all, she is using only a couple of fonts across her website. So I went through all of the pages, and it seems like she's using just 2 fonts, and she has varied the fonts by doing things like this, by having it in a different color and maybe making it in italics rather than keeping it where it's not in italics. So she's doing things with the fonts that makes it so that there's some variation in the font, but she's not using like 20 different fonts on her website. So good job, Penny. I love how you've used the fonts across your website. I really love this font. That is here. When you scroll over, it kind of goes away, but I really love that font. I think it really speaks to your target audience. So she's a speaker and author, and she writes on Christian topics and speaks on Christian topics. So I think that your fonts work really well, and your colors are pretty good. I did notice that there are a couple of colors that if I'm scrolling through, I don't see them on every page. So for instance, on this page, I see this kind of goldish brown color and this gray color. But when I go to, let's say, your Meet Penny page, I see that there is another color that shows up. Maybe it's, yeah, here behind your official bio. There's this other color that I don't see showing up in many places. So I feel like when I get here, I'm disconnected a little bit with the branding because I didn't expect that color. So what I would do is I would either change this color to one that you're using on other pages, or use this color on every single page. You don't have to use it a lot. You can still use it in a similar fashion, but I just feel like since I didn't see it on the home page when I get to this section, that it's kind of a surprise and I wasn't expecting it. And so it kind of doesn't feel quite as connected to your branding. So that would be something that I would suggest with your colors. But overall, I feel like she's done a really good job of using her colors, of using her fonts. She also uses some really pretty imagery, some really pretty photos throughout. And I think that like this picture on the homepage of you, Penny, is really beautiful. I think it's inviting, and it's a great place for it to be here kind of front and center so people can see you and be connected to you kind of right away. And a lot of people, they kind of shy away from adding their photo to the homepage or adding their photo at all to their website because they're a little bit shy or scared to share their face. But we need to see your face, especially if you are a major part of your brand, which she is. is as a speaker and as an author. So it's good that you have your face there front and center. So the other thing that I really wanted to point out is that you have some great personality going on in your writing. I didn't read every single page, of course, but I did read this front page, and I love, things like this where you're talking about grabbing a warm cup of comfort, and then you put some personality in here and you say, a skinny chai latte for me, please. That's great. And I hope that you're doing that throughout the rest of your pages, because to me, it really connects. So I get a sense of who you are. I already know who you are, but she's a friend of mine. So I already know who you are. But I mean, if it was a person who didn't know you, I think it would really work well to bring them in and let them know a little bit more about you. And it's just nice to connect in that way, especially with the type of work that you do. So those are some things that I think that you're doing really, really well on your website. So now I want to get into some things that maybe you can tweak to do better. The very first thing that I feel is kind of hard for me as far as connecting with what it is that you do is that there's nothing here that really tells me. I can kind of figure out what you do by seeing that there's a speaking page and a book page and coaching page, but there's nothing that really jumps out to me what you do here. So you could add maybe like a tagline to your logo, or you could add something here over this picture that tells us what you do, who you serve. And I know you have a little bit right here, but this is, after they scroll down. And so often you want to grab that attention within the first couple of seconds of somebody coming to your website for them to know what it is that you do and who you serve. So that would be one of my first really just big things that I would point out that I feel would help you to make that connection right away. I looked at this form on my phone, which it looks fantastic on my phone. It actually is it's nice on the phone. It is mobile responsive and it looks really great. But here, without there being some text over here, I know that there's a beautiful picture here, but I feel like this is kind of tucked away in a corner. So I would probably, if you're hopefully using Pop-Up Ally as a plugin, I would make this a bit bigger so that it's not, all the way shoved to the side. And you could stand to move it over if you want to keep most of this picture visible. You can move it over just a little bit so that way we can see it better and it grabs our attention more. I just feel like it's kind of over there in the corner, like you don't really want people to see it. So that would be something that I would work on. Let me see if I have any questions so far. Nobody's saying anything yet, so I'm going to keep on going. So something else, I really kind of got just confused for a second. If I scroll down and I get to this blog section, I know that I can click on it because I hovered over it. But when I was first scrolling and I had my mouse over here, I wasn't sure where the blog was. So then I was like, oh, I probably have to click here. So I moved my mouse over, but I think that it's not as clear as it could be that this is a link. So there's a couple of things that you could do here. You could change the wordage to make it clear that if they click there, that they're going to go to the blog. Or you could put some stuff below that highlights some of your recent posts. I actually thought it was just a header when I first saw it, so it wasn't as clear. And I think you could, in this section, maybe write something right here that tells people that they can click on these things too. So it's clear when you roll over it, you can see that these things are changing and that you can click on them, but you might want to draw a bit more attention to it to make it so that it stands out a bit more, because right now it's clear to me. I am used to going to websites all the time, but some people, they aren't as aware that you can click on things, and sometimes they won't click on things that are clickable. So you want to guide them a little bit more to make sure that they know that these things are clickable. This is where you can go, because they could look at it and see, oh, it's just like a bunch of lovely words and pictures. So that would be something that I would really address. Now, if I go to some of these other pages, so let's say I go to the Meet Penny page. When I looked through this, I think that you did a fantastic job. I love this photo, love that you're smiling. The background is really soothing and pleasing. So I think you've done a really good job of choosing imagery that works well for your brand. And as I scroll down, the only thing that I would say for a person like me is text heavy things I don't tend to read as much. So in areas where you can maybe try to pull something out, maybe make it a little bit bigger, or maybe vary the font a little bit. So you could add in bold, or you could make the font a little bit bigger. That will help to stop me in my tracks where I'm going to read a bit more. So you've, of course, like done this where you have some headers down here, which I think is really great. And I love that you have, these are a few of my favorite things, and you've broken it apart by the things that you love. But I would somehow probably play up the headers just a little bit more. I know that they're in caps and that they have a little bit of bold on them, but I feel like it can be done just a little bit more. So that would be something that I would suggest here. But I think other than that, I think it looks pretty great. Let's see, I wanted to go next to the contact page. Something here that I was thinking is that you could maybe put another picture of you here. It's not necessary, but I think it's just nice for when people go to a contact page to see who they're contacting. It just takes away that anonymity of the internet and makes it easier to actually like write to somebody and gather your thoughts, because you're looking at a person and that's the person who you're writing to. So that would be a quick little thing that you could change. And you might want to put in a little message here to say something, nice, and connect with them again through whatever language that you would use here. If I go to the speaking and book page, again, I think everything is really lovely. I love how you've laid things out. I think that you are doing really well with explaining what it is that you do on these pages, but I would like here where it says a contact page, I think that this is too small. It doesn't really jump out to me that this is how I would contact you. Because somebody might come, they might be like, okay, I just need to go to the speaking page. I just need to book her. And they may not even, they may have talked with you in person and you said to go to their website or whatever. And they might just scroll down and just want a big old button for them to push. So I would consider making this a button rather than a link and make it a little bit bigger so that it's just more obvious. If I go to the book page, we have those colors that, you haven't used this pink anywhere else. So I would consider using it elsewhere, or using a color that you've already used, and then this color as well. I just think that they were kind of a surprise to me. So it's not something, it's me being a little picky. So you can ignore me if you want. But I think that those are a few things that I would address. And then the last part is the coaching page, which Penny and I have spoken that she might actually take the coaching away and do it differently. But the one thing that I would suggest for anyone who's watching is that you have a coming soon page here for the work with me. And I personally just like to take that away until it's ready, because people come here expecting something and then maybe be a little bummed because they can't, figure out more about what it is that you do here. So I would think about probably taking this away for now until you actually put up some packages, or if you don't want to put this back up, that's okay too. So those are a few things that I would suggest on your website. I did look at the blog a little bit too, and I think on the blog, you might do where I talked about kind of breaking up the text a little bit with some things to kind of easily draw my eyes. So maybe like making, for instance, this in bold so that it'll stand out a little bit more. So things like that. You might just want to add in some visual hierarchy is what it's called, where your eyes are drawn to one piece of information first, and then you'll go to the next important piece of information. So those are the things that I would recommend for you, Penny. Let's see if I have any questions. Nope, I don't. You guys have any questions? Let me know. This is your chance to get questions from me before I head off. So let me know in the comments. There are comments below, but there's also a chat right now since we're live that's to the right of my face. So if you have any questions, let me know there. I'll wait for just a minute. Overall, Penny, I think you've done a really great job. I think it's just a few small things, a few small tweaks that can take this to the next level for you. The most important thing being to think about your user and to think about if they know, if this is a button or if they know what it is that you do quickly. So it's just thinking about how you can help them kind of make it really simple for people. And this is something that I run into as a website designer all the time. I have to make sure that people know that things are buttons all the time. And sometimes I'll watch people as they're navigating on websites and realize that they sometimes click on things that aren't buttons, and sometimes they don't click on buttons that are buttons. So you just have to kind of think in their shoes and figure out the things that you can tweak slightly to make it a little bit easier on the people that you're trying to serve. So that's it. All right, no questions. I will be back here. Let me see. Let me stop sharing my screen. I will be back here next week on Friday, sharing another website for you guys. And if you have any questions after this is aired, you can leave those in the comment section below. And I had fun sharing with you guys this website this week, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to stay creative.